In the midst of Central Asia lies a country by the name of Turkmenistan. Once a part of the Soviet Union, Turkmenistan is now an independent nation which is home to 6 million people. And from 1985 to 2006, it was run by the weirdest dictator in modern history. This is Saparmurat Niyazov, the first president of Turkmenistan, although the title of president is a bit generous since he was never fairly elected. Niyazov was born in 1940 and grew up in a Soviet orphanage. He joined the Communist Party of the Turkmen SSR in 1962 and quickly rose through the ranks, ultimately being appointed first secretary of the party by Gorbachev in 1985. This effectively made him the leader of the Turkmen Soviet Socialist Republic. Clearly, Niyazov wasn't too grateful to his boss, though, because he supported a 1991 coup which attempted to overthrow Gorbachev. The coup failed, but Turkmenistan officially declared independence 2 months later and appointed Niyazov as their first president. But don't worry, he decided the people should have a say in their president and held an election the following year, in which he was the only candidate running. Here's a map of the results. Against really put up a fight. After being elected, Niyazov gave himself the title Turkmenbashy, which means head of the Turkmen. And this is when things started to get strange. Niyazov began placing portraits and gigantic statues of himself around the country, such as this 40-foot gold statue of himself that sits 312 feet above the ground. It was known as the Arc of Neutrality, and the statue on the top would rotate so it was always facing the sun. There's also this building, called the Independence Monument, featuring another statue of Niyazov which looks like a possessed Fred Flintstone. But a few gold statues are not the extent of Niyazov's weird dictatorship. Every citizen was given a watch with his face on it, and doctors and journalists were forced to swear an oath to him. So anyone going under the knife could rest easy, knowing that the doctor doing their surgery promised that they liked the president. One thing he loved doing was renaming things, especially renaming things after himself. The city of Krasnovodsk was renamed Turkmenbashy, as well as the nearby town of Yenya, which was also called Turkmenbashy. He also named a city after his father and another one after his mother. And it wasn't just places he renamed. The month of January was also renamed Turkmenbashy. Then there was the Runama, meaning Book of the Soul, a 2-volume autobiography and self-help book that Niyazov wrote for the people of his country. And he really wanted them to read it, making it mandatory for students to study the book in schools. He even renamed the month of September Runama, which feels like the worst product placement of all time. Eventually, he integrated questions about the book into government job interviews and even the nation's driving test. So anyone hitting the road could rest easy, knowing that the drivers passing them were well versed on the childhood of the president. Niyazov even went so far as to say that people who read the Runama 3 times were destined to make it to heaven, claiming that he had personally arranged that with God. But considering the book has a rating of 2.4 on Goodreads, it sounds like God might have just skimmed it. In 1994, Niyazov's term was extended to 2002 so he could oversee a 10-year development plan. And as his presidency went on, good old Turkmenbashy began implementing some very weird laws. Clearly not a fan of the arts, Niyazov banned video games, opera, ballet, and circuses. But after deciding that Turkmenistan still wasn't enough like the town from Footloose, he also banned lip-syncing, pre-recorded music at public events, and all car radios. So if you think your Uber drives are awkward now, imagine just sitting in silence for the entire thing. Niyazov also prohibited TV reporters from wearing makeup, forbade them from reporting on contagious diseases, and ordered every TV anchor to start their broadcast by swearing that their tongue would shrivel up if they slandered the country, just like Walter Cronkite always used to do. He also banned all beards, forcing men to shave constantly, as well as forbidding men from having long hair. Finally, he banned gold teeth, saying, quote, "I watched young dogs when I was young. They were given bones to gnaw to strengthen their teeth. Those of you whose teeth have fallen out did not chew on bones. This is my advice." But he must not have liked much else about dogs because he banned them from the nation's capital Ashgabat due to what he described as their unappealing odor. But Niyazov did do a couple decent things. For example, everyone in the country was granted free water, gas, electricity, and for some reason salt while he was in office. He also banned the death penalty, meaning everyone who spoke out against him was simply put in prison for life. After a heart condition forced him to quit smoking in 1997, Niyazov decided everyone should quit smoking, so he banned it in public places and required government employees to quit smoking too. Perhaps the greatest thing Niyazov ever did was create Melon Day, a holiday on the second Sunday of August in which everyone celebrates melons. The particular pride of Melon Day is a crossbreed melon that Turkmenistan created, which Niyazov unsurprisingly named the Turkmenbashy melon. Which means, after all the things Niyazov named after himself, you could eat Turkmenbashy with Turkmenbashy, in Turkmenbashy, during Turkmenbashy. In 1999, Turkmenistan's parliament declared Niyazov president for life, a few weeks after he had personally selected every member of parliament. By May of 2000, Turkmenbashy had become so drunk with power that he shut down internet access for the entire country. In March of 2004, he fired 15,000 public health workers. He took it even further in 2005, closing all hospitals and libraries that were outside of the capital, saying, if people are ill, they can come to Ashgabat. Except the dogs, I guess. It was a tough task, but decisions like that helped Niyazov earn his country the award for lowest life expectancy in Central Asia. And Niyazov himself was not exempt from that life expectancy because he died of a heart attack in December of 2006 after 21 years in power. He was only 66 and named no successor before he died, which always results in a fun time for everyone in a totalitarian country. Sure enough, his immediate successor was abruptly arrested for abuse of power and human rights violations, which is so ironic I can't even make a joke about it. The man who seized power afterwards was the deputy prime minister, bear with me now, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov. Interestingly, he was actually Niyazov's dentist before working his way up to deputy prime minister, making him probably the only doctor Niyazov ever liked. Berdimuhamedov quickly began erasing a large chunk of Niyazov's legacy, relocating the Ark of Neutrality and removing the Runama from job interviews and the driving test. But don't worry, he did keep Melon Day. Berdimuhamedov is still running the country to this day after winning a series of elections that were definitely not rigged. He recently split the power with his son, meaning the country is basically entering into a monarchy now. Like Turkmenbashy, he also gave himself a catchy nickname, going by Arkadagh, meaning protector. And of course, in 2022, he renamed a city Arkadagh. So I guess things haven't changed too much in Turkmenistan. But at least the people can rest easy, knowing that their president doesn't have any cavities. Now please consider subscribing, or I'll change the name of your hometown to the name of this channel.